What excites me about aviation is that it's continually evolving, and it's interesting to see how the old technology is meshing with the new technology. Aloha! My name is Jeff Accord, and I would like to give you a history of aviation here on the Big Island. Flying is it's in my DNA. My grandfather was an Army flight instructor in World War I. Born in Southern California, started flying in high school. Pilot experience, I have a multi-engine airline transport pilot license. Have flown 136 different makes and models of aircraft. I have 12 aviation speed records in 4 classes of aircraft. Various flying jobs have been local airline, Mokulele, based here, jet charter, air ambulance, banner towing, traffic watch. My wife and I vacationed here first time in 1993. I stepped off the airplane on the tarmac at the terminal and went, yeah. And the island chose us, and in 2014 we made the move and have been here ever since. I'm currently an air traffic controller at Kona International Airport. It's a very rewarding job. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Absolutely love it. The official designation is the safe, orderly, expeditious flow of air traffic and to prevent collisions. So we provide traffic services, separation, weather services, anything and everything to help the pilots have a good, safe flight. Prior to aviation growing to the point that it has today, the premier way to travel to the Hawaiian Islands was on one of the Matson Line steamships. There was 4 of them, and the most notable one was the SS Lurline. People found that it was a very luxurious way to travel. It was a 4-day trip, very first class, and it was the way to go. But as even jet service developed, people decided that it was much more convenient to take a 6-hour trip than a 4-day trip. So during the 60s, passenger demand declined and eventually it went out of service. But interesting with the SS Lurline, in 1935 it transported Amelia Earhart and her Lockheed Vega, which was strapped to the deck, to the Hawaiian Islands so that she could complete her historic Trans-Pacific solo first female flight. How's that? That's pretty cool. Travel took a lot from the cruise ships, where everyone dressed nicely. You know, it was a very luxurious way to travel, and that transferred to aviation. Gentlemen wore suits, ladies wore dresses, there was linen service, there was actual silverware with the meals. It just has transformed to something quite different today. Today I would say it's a lot more relaxed. Is that the nice way of saying it? Aviation on the Big Island started way back in 1911. First flight was by a gentleman named Clarence Walker in his Curtiss biplane, and he did a flight from Honolulu Park. The complex there houses the Edith Kanakaole Stadium, where the Mary Marnock Festival is held every year. The first successful inter-island flight took place in 1919 by a gentleman named Major Hugh Kinnear, who flew mail from Honolulu to landed in Hilo Harbor. In Hilo Harbor in a seaplane. In 1943, it was renamed to General Albert Lyman Field in honor of General Albert Kuali'i Brickwood Lyman from the Lyman plantation family, who, by the way, is the first person born in the Hawaiian territory to become an admiral or general in the United States military. His brother became the 2nd general in the United States military. The current terminal still bears his name. Then the first inter-island jet traffic began with Aloha and Hawaiian Airlines, and the first mainland traffic was, of course, you guessed it, Pan American. And then in 1983, it was officially designated or changed the name to Hilo International Airport. For it to be called international, it has to have customs and immigrations on site to handle foreign travel. And from there, they tried to build, or they did build near Kilauea in 1923. It was used very briefly until the 1924 lava flow, so no more airports. So let's move south from Hilo Airport down to South Point, South Cape, and South Point Air Force installation. All the same thing, all at the same place, all at South Point. It was originally built in 1940, used as a reliever field for aircraft coming up from the deep South Pacific. The actual name is Morris Field, named after 2nd Lieutenant Guy Morris of the 135th Aero Squadron in World War I. He and another pilot, 1st Lieutenant Wilbur Suter, flew an aircraft over the Hindenburg Line during World War I, and they braved a tremendous amount of anti-aircraft fire, ground fire, in order to do a recon mission. They were able to survive, and they brought back vital information on German troop movements. The airport was starting to build up, but after the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941, it was deemed prudent to destroy the field to prevent it from falling into enemy hands in case of an invasion. What's interesting is we moved from there up to the north end of the island near Hawi to Upolu Point Airport. 3,800 foot strip built in 1926. What's interesting is the field's official name is Suter Field, named after 1st Lieutenant Wilbur Suter, who flew with 2nd Lieutenant Guy Morris on the flight I just described. So it's very interesting to have opposite ends of the island airports named after two gentlemen that actually flew together on the same mission. It's very interesting history there. So we're at the north end of the island. Let's move south a little bit. On the Mackay side of the highway, there still is remnants of an airport built by the 3rd Marine Division, officially named Bordelon Field, after William Bordelon, who was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroics in the Battle of Tarawa. And after a period of time around 1950, it was deemed unsuitable for expansion to a modern-day airport. So we move across the highway to the current Waimea Airport. When it first opened in 1950, Aloha and Hawaiian Airlines began service there. As Kona Airport grew and traffic demand just really dropped dramatically, Aloha and Hawaiian pulled out. The community wanted to keep the airport open, so it fell under what's called essential services. So we'll continue our journey southbound to Kona Village Resort. The resort was built in 1961 by Texas entrepreneur John Jackson. Well, because of the lack of infrastructure of roads at that time and the very rough terrain, it was difficult to get not only guests, but staff and supplies into the resort. So John Jackson built an airport there, Kapolei. On a daily basis, the staff were flown in and out to get to their respective homes because of the remoteness of the resort. In 1983, the airport was redesignated as a private heliport. And John Jackson used to actually do some of the flying himself. Okay, moving further south to our destination is Kona Airport, or Old Kona Airport. Construction was started in World War II, a small landing strip at the end of Kuakini Highway, and in 1950 it was expanded to 3,800 feet, and the terminal was built and it was designated Kona Airport. And a fence was put around the property to keep wandering cattle off the runway for obvious reasons. And Aloha and Hawaiian started turboprop service, and then they actually began jet service with their DC-9s and Bach 111s. Later, they determined that it was not big enough for expansion, so they picked the spot at Keahole Point. Keahole, by the way, is named after the ahole fish, which resides in the area, about 7 to 8 miles north of Kona here. And Kona Airport was built and dedicated in 1970. Built on the 1801 lava flow from Hualalai volcano. And to stabilize the ground and stabilize the lava tubes, it took approximately 3 million pounds of dynamite before they could construct the runway. In 1994, the 6,500 foot runway was extended to 11,000 feet, which makes it the second longest runway in the Hawaiian Islands. But in 2017, the official name was changed to Ellison Onizuka Kona International Airport at Keauhole. The name change was to honor astronaut Ellison Onizuka, a Kona native who was tragically lost in the Space Shuttle Challenger accident. Kona International Airport is actually the second busiest airport in the Hawaiian Islands, next to Honolulu. Thank you very much for joining me and listening to the history of aviation here on the Big Island. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much. Hope to see you again.